Bonjour, WheelieMix today. First, sorry for the quality of my voice. I'm currently stuck at the hotel for one free day, so I thought it would be a good moment to do a review of El Rey by Acustica. So this compressor was made in collaboration with Greg Wells and Studio DMI. It's not an exact clone of the famous and sought after RCA tube compressor, but this plugin creates a lot of hype and a lot of words like magic or voodoo. I will never use words like magic or voodoo to describe software. I mean, it's still 101 stuff behind it, so no magic fairy dust. But let's see if the hype is justified. Maybe. Let's try it and also compare it with other plugins, and at the end I will do a blind test to see which one you prefer and if you can identify it. Let's first go to the kick drum.
Okay, I kind of really like how it's fattening up the kick drum. And it's fattening up the kick drum because there is an EQ curve induced in it. It looks like this. So you might think maybe this compressor is just a compressor with an EQ on. But let's see and compare it to the Fuse Audio-Labs VCL compressor, which is modeling the same kind of hardware, even if El Rey is not an exact replica of the hardware. So I tried to match the settings a little bit and add the EQ after to see if they match and sound similar. Let's see that. So they sound quite similar, right? But the difference now, the question is big enough for you to spend more money on El Rey or to have two plugins like these Fuse Audio-Labs and the EQ, or if it's better for you to have only one plugin in terms of workflow. But we will see that later on a stereo track, but let's now focus on El Rey and see its impact on a bass guitar. That will help me to show you a little feature on El Rey to attenuate a little bit this bass bump induced in it. Maybe you think the coloration is too much, but if it's too much from you, you can attenuate it using the filter here, and it gives the impression that the coloration induced in El Rey is a bit attenuated. So let's listen to it. As you could hear, it was a bit more transparent, if I can say transparent for that type of compressor. But let's see what it does on a guitar now. quite like it on guitar, it helps to soften a bit the sound, but let's see how it sounds on the lead vocal, because everyone's saying it's a good compressor for lead vocal. So I don't have the mix right now, but I've found a rough mix of the song and the lead vocal, so we can use it in context. But let's try without the rough mix first to show you how it sounds.
Of a living and human being, of a living and human being, letting flow the stream of dying.
Sounds quite compressed, but let's see in the track.
Of a living and human being, letting flow the stream of dying. Of a living and human being, letting flow the stream of dying. Of a living and human being, letting flow the stream of dying.
I kind of like how it put the vocal up front, but let's listen back to it.
Of a living and human being, of a living and human being, of a living and human being, of a living and human being.
Very cool, it's a very good compressor, but there is a limit to it. And that limit is when you push too hard into it. It doesn't sound like a tube compressor that is overdriven, and I will show you how it sounds when you push too hard into it. So I got El Rey here and some trims before to put more volume into it. Normally on most of the tube compressor you got, when you push too much volume into it, you got distortion, and you also got a sweet spot just in between when it starts to clip in a nice way, I mean musical way if I can say, but you don't have that with El Rey. It's straight away nothing or pure digital clipping, like trash really. I will show you how it sounds and you will see what I mean by this. As you can hear, it sounds like digital clipping, or may I say Acustica clipping, because Acustica plugins tend to clip that way when you push too much volume into them. It's part of their design. I know it's a lot to push that much dB into a compressor, but with a tube gear you can do it and it will sound like distortion. Here it doesn't sound like distortion at all. So they didn't emulate that part of the hardware. So that's the limit of El Rey, you have to know. You can't expect El Rey to distort like a tube compressor. It can have the saturation of a tube compressor, but not distortion of the really hot saturation. Anyway, let's see now on a stereo file, and let's do a blind test. So we got El Rey on one side, and we also got this compressor, the Fuse Audio compressor, and Pro Q2 with the curve of El Rey. And let's see how they compare between each other. I don't know you, but I think the first one is El Rey. Yes, I can recognize El Rey compared to the other one, because El Rey got a bit more saturation on the low end to me. and it also sounds wider because of the harmonics and the saturation induced. Let's listen to it now that you see which track is which. So I hope you could hear it through YouTube. Anyway, that was my review of El Rey. It's a really good compressor. It's still not perfect, as you can see, but it's a really good one. It's got that strong coloration with that resonant high pass filter in it, so it doesn't work on everything, but it's also really hard to replicate what it's doing with other plugins. It's clearly not magic or voodoo, but it's really good if it's what you're after. Anyway, if you have any question regarding this unit, you can ask me, and have fun mixing. Au revoir.